Hey, Salvador Brickman here. One of the things that's very difficult when it comes to doing a Kickstarter campaign is actually fulfilling your rewards and your perks. So if this is something that you struggle with, in today's YouTube video, I'm going to be going through a few checklist items that you should be aware of when it comes to this, as well as what you should do if you really want to maintain a good reputation on Kickstarter and make sure that your backers are happy. We are getting into that today. Okay, so let's get started. First of all, this video is sponsored by Fulfillrite, and with them, we've put our brains together, and we've created a Kickstarter fulfillment and shipping checklist guide for you. So this is basically, if you're struggling with figuring out fulfillment and shipping, and you aren't yet ready to maybe hire like a fulfillment company, and you kind of want to do it yourself, or you just want to explore things, this checklist will make sure that you do it by the book, and you don't fall into one of these major pitfalls, right? That you don't forget about something and it ends up biting you later when you're trying to do the fulfillment stage of your Kickstarter, crowdfunding campaign, or anything of that nature, or an Indiegogo campaign. So I want to just go through this today. So first of all, if you want to gain access to this, all you got to do is go to fulfillrite.com/checklist, and you can enter your name and email, and it will be automatically delivered to you instantly, and it is completely free. But I also have it here, right here. So I want to kind of just show you guys what some of the items are. So I'm not going to go over all of this because this is like very comprehensive, obviously, some of the stuff that we go through. But one of the big ones is making sure that you're aware of BackerKit or CrowdAux, right? And this is a tool that not many people know about, or if they've heard me mention it before, they might not fully understand what this tool does. And basically, they help you do surveys and reward fulfillment after your Kickstarter campaign. They also help you do upsells, right? And I've been more recently a fan, honestly, of CrowdAux between these two guys, but they're both great, and they're a way for you to recoup more, or to I guess, upsell people after the campaign, increase your overall revenue, also do surveys to make sure you don't have so many spreadsheets. And it's great for people that have more than 300 backers. Another one is looking at your actual add-ons, your stretch goals, your SKUs, the shipping addresses, and the general contact information. This is so freaking important, because if you don't have this logistical information, then you're going to have angry customers. Angry customers who might be like, "Hey, dude, why haven't you sent me the product yet?" And you're like, "Oh, I don't have your info, yet." And it can be a little bit of a communication difficulty. So make sure that you also have very accurate backer information using surveys or using the Pledge Manager tools that I talked about before. Also, another big one that I haven't talked too much, I think, on this channel about is the fact that you can actually have failed credit cards throughout your campaign. Now, this is for a number of different reasons. Sometimes people just need to update their credit card. Sometimes they get a new one in the mail and they forget to change the one that they have on the Kickstarter dashboard. Other times people are maxed out on their cards. There's so many different reasons, but typically you're going to have a percentage of the pledges that actually do not go through. So while you might publicly raise, $10,000, and 1% of that, I believe, is $100. If I'm doing my math right, you might end up only raising $9,900, after just that, and then obviously you have to take into account other fees and stuff like that. So just be aware of failed credit cards. Another is making sure that you update your backers regularly, right? Because if you don't do that, you begin to lose a little bit of credibility. And there's this saying out there that when there isn't a clear answer, or there isn't instructions provided, or there isn't guidance, people's minds are kind of left up to their own devices. And by that I mean, if people don't get updates from you and something's really late, they assume the worst just naturally. And you don't want them to assume the worst. You want them to, look at you and to really assume the best, to give you the benefit of the doubt. And the only way they're willing to do that is if you maintain a positive relationship with your backers. So whenever you're getting delays or major milestone pushbacks, be sure to update your backers, because otherwise people are going to be like, "Where the heck is this? Did this guy scam me? I don't understand," right? Communication is difficult. I find it very hard myself, but it's really good when it comes to maintaining a customer relationship. The other thing is Indiegogo in demand. Another thing we didn't, talk about a lot of the times, the after and post Kickstarter campaign, right? So you can be doing a lot of things after Kickstarter. You could be going into Shopify. You could be using one of these Pledge Manager tools. You could set up your own e-commerce WordPress website using something, or using Magento. There's so many different ways in which you can continue to sort of capitalize on the traffic and the the eyeballs, if you will, that you're generating through your marketing. One of the other ways is through Indiegogo in demand. Now, a lot of projects actually will transition into Indiegogo in demand after a successful Kickstarter campaign. Why is that? Well, the main reason is that you can actually see the amount of money that's been funded with an Indiegogo in demand project. So there's that immediate social proof. Also, if you don't want to go through the hassle of setting up a Shopify store yet, I actually have a great tutorial on Shopify. You can go check out in the YouTube description and YouTube, different archives that I have there for my videos. If you don't want to do that, you want to set up the hassle, you can go to Indiegogo in demand, and it's a really seamless transition. So you could do that for the course of a month, maybe after your campaign. You could do it for just 2 weeks. It's really up to you, but it's one way to capitalize on momentum. So I also want to talk a little bit about, supply chain here, because this to me is the biggest part of making fulfillment and making shipping and making logistics kind of like just peace of mind, right? If you don't have your supply chain down, then everything else falls into chaos because you've made incredible marketing. If you've been following my videos, if you read my book, The Kickstarter Launch Formula, which is available on Audible, also via Amazon, the Kickstarter Launch Formula will share with you exactly how to get people to take action, right? The formula behind funding a Kickstarter campaign. And that's awesome, but that's not the end of the game. Like, you got to then ship out your rewards. And if you don't have a strong supply chain, it's going to be hard for you to make good on your promises. So, for example, planning for demand. What happens if you have, let's just say, a $20,000 goal, you end up raising $50,000? Okay, that's great. But what ends up happening if you raise $500,000? This happens. People blow up on Kickstarter, and it happens overnight. It can happen in a matter of a week, right? It's crazy. But what happens to you from the logistical side, that's rarely discussed, because this is actually a problem. Think about that. If you have thousands of people who are expecting a product and you were only anticipating maybe 500, then you're going to have to figure out how to get the product into all these people's hands. You see this with many popular Kickstarter campaigns, even ones like the Coolest Cooler, right? Success and lots of virality is actually a problem because it means you then have to have more obligations with that. Some other things, what do you think about the materials, right, that go into your product? If the materials are scarce for a reason, or there's a world event or an international event, that could actually affect your fulfillment. That could affect your ability to deliver the product to the end customer. Or the prices in those raw materials change. That can then impact the price of your product, as well as doing things like, inventory management, manufacturing, production, all that kind of stuff. Like, there's so much good stuff here. I really think that, if anything, also figuring out when you transition more into an e-commerce store, how do you do and deal with some of the normal things that come with e-commerce, right? So like, we're doing returns. When someone wants to return an item and get a refund, how do you handle that? Do they return it to you personally? Do they handle it to your shipping company, to your fulfillment company? Like, how are they doing that, and how are you processing all of those returns? What about the customer experience, right? How do you get people to associate your brand with the actual box that you're sending them? So maybe including marketing inserts or the actual packaging of the box right inside. Like, there's so many things you can do here when it comes to a marketing and branding standpoint, but this really falls under the idea of supply chain, how you're getting the product made, how you get it made in massive quantities, where you're then shipping it, where it's being assembled, and then how it goes out and packaging the entire thing so that it goes out to the end customer seamlessly. So this is a lot of good stuff. This took us a while to put together. I really recommend going and checking this out, and also some really good resources and tools that can actually cut down a lot of costs, and understanding things like duties, customs, barcodes, tariffs, etc. I think you're going to like this a lot. So if you're interested, go here to this website, fulfillright.com/checklist, and you can download this guide immediately for free on this site. All you gotta do is enter your name and email, and these guys will also start sending you some more advice and tips for free on crowdfunding as it relates to shipping out your rewards, some things you might not have thought about even, and it can be very, very valuable. So go and check out the link in the description to download this guide. Get started ASAP. Plan for success, and make sure you're aware of some of this stuff so it doesn't creep up on you, and then you have to kind of scramble to figure out what you're going to do right in the fulfillment side of things. So I hope you liked this video. My name is Salvador Brigman. Give this video a like, an upvote if you did enjoy it. Come subscribe for more videos like this, and leave a comment if you enjoyed this, just to give me a pat on the back. Would really appreciate that. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time.